What's
Good
up?
morning. We
Good
said it at the
morning.
same
Good
time.
morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Happy third Sunday. I was about to say first. No, we're almost done with September.
We're almost done with September. This is time
This
just
is
be
ridiculous.
rolling
It's
fast, rolling
ridiculous.
fast. Yep. Yep.
Ridiculous. Well, how are you
I
before we
am
dig
doing
in?
I'm doing fantabulous as usual. How are you doing?
Awesome. I'm good. I feel like, I was rushing a little bit, get myself ready. I usually prep a little more than this before, but I'm good. It's Sunday. I like Sundays. I love
Hmm.
Sundays. It's like my favorite day of the week, actually.
Yeah, yeah. You coming off of an amazing event last week.
Yeah, yeah. The open house for Finding Your Voice. Thank you for that. And thank you for coming and assisting with setup and breakdown and doing the slides while we were doing the presentation.
Hmm.
You were
Hmm.
you were
Hmm.
that dude. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, the energy was good. The energy was good
Yes.
down in the South Loop,
Y-
Chicago.
South Loop, Chicago. And that was at Level K Event Space, which I give some dap out to that's owned by Kelly Moore, a fellow, she's my twin birthday sister. And fellow business owner, black female business owner. So if you guys are in the Shy in Chicago and you're looking for um, an event space, check it out, Level K. But
It's awesome. It's
it
awesome.
is awesome. It's really awesome. It's a beautiful, lofty space full of light.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
lofty space, big windows
Hmm.
that look out. It's very
Yeah.
nice.
In a
Very
really
nice.
good location of the city. So yeah, well, today we have an interesting topic. Now, I don't know. We may not have, I don't know how people are going to feel about this. I don't know. Which is why I called it truth or myth.
Right, right, right. Truth or myth? Like
Or
we'll
truth.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So so those of you who are new to ever watching Spiritual Shift, we do this every first and third Sunday, where Bishan Riley, otherwise known as Barry, and I will jump on and we pick topics that relate to some level of spirituality, whether you agree or don't agree. We feel that these topics stretch our minds and our souls and our spirits. Um, so yeah, and so we this is live on Facebook, live on YouTube. It is recorded. So those of you guys who are watching the playback, thank you. But today's topic, I talk a lot about this. I heavily believe I heavily believe in this for many reasons that we can get into for a moment. But I want to pass the mic to you, Barry, because I would love for you to share one kind of what are your thoughts for you? What does that even mean to say past lives?
Past lives.
And yeah, and I guess maybe answer in your opinion or your experience, truth or myth, or wherever you want to go with it. But definitely how you define this understanding of past lives.
Past lives.
Hmm.
Well, it's so I'll start it off with a concept from The Lion King. Hakuna Matata, right? And Hakuna Matata, no worries. And in the movie, there's a concept that gets tossed around. You hear the term or the phrase come out a lot in the movie. It's called the circle of life, and they got a song about it and everything. And it's the thing is, it's I love the Lion King. Real talk.
I know this is one of your jams. Yeah.
Yeah, Lion King is amazing, and not
Yeah.
just because of the because it's a good movie. It's entertaining and it's funny, but because it drops very very amazing spiritual concepts and spiritual lessons and teachings and understandings like right in the cartoon, right in the movie. You get them. And this
Mm-hmm.
concept of the circle of life is one of them. And like we've talked about ancestors before here, and on other platforms, and to really get a sense of what past lives are really conveying, it encompasses a lot of other things like ancestors. The only reason or way that we can commune with our ancestors or have a relationship with our ancestors is because that whole concept is about this circle of life that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It also incorporates the soul, the fact that you know, we're here as souls wrapped in these, in our case, these melanated, intergalactic, intercosmic, interdimensional vehicles, bodies that we have, and we're moving around, we're doing stuff here. So for me, past lives really, um, it if you really dig into all of those things like ancestors, the soul, and some other things that we can get into, just those two alone that people can really grab a hold of, then you start to think, well, what's going on? Like, have we been here before, or um, how do you experience that? Um, dreams are a part of this. Some people can have dreams that's like, I was dreaming. Like, I have to bring up another movie, but in the in in the first Coming to America, when Eddie Murphy and Arsenio were in the
Mm-hmm.
club, and they're trying to find trying to find a wife for Eddie, and the women are coming in like saying this and saying, and then one woman comes in and is like, oh, I was Joan of Arc in a former life. They're like, what? So this is it's like, I was Joan. She's looking all crazy, but so this popular presentation of past lives and stuff like that, it kind of throws people off of the real. It throws people
Mm.
off, like, um but through dreams, you can some people, can access
Mm.
past lives, and what things have transpired before. So that's kind of like my opening. It's something that has been hidden from us.
Mm.
Um, it's actually in the Bible. It's actually in the Bible. There's certain things there's certain texts that allude to past lives or reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
preachers and pastors and evangelists and Christians, they don't really, like, I've never heard anybody really go into those verses and kind of explain what was said and why it was said that way. So it's not
Mm.
something that is new even to Christianity. And if you get into the books that were not included in the Bible, oh, it's just, you'll be stumbling over all of these kinds of concepts. So, yeah,
Hence not being maybe included. Right. Right.
yeah.
Well, thank you. And welcome to anybody who's like joined. We're talking about past lives. And if you have a comment or a thought or a question regarding past lives, I can't see all the comments depending on where you're watching. I believe I don't know if I can see the YouTube. I know from my fan page, I can see it, but my personal page, I don't believe I can see those comments. But at any rate, you can try to type a comment in, and I may or may not be able to get to it. But yeah, it's fun. Oh, go ahead.
No,
You
I
want
was
to say
going to
something?
ask you. I think you were about to go into. I wanted to hear your take on the same question. Like, what's your
Yeah.
truth or myth? Past lives. What's your take on it?
Yeah. As I said kind of at the beginning, I very much believe in this space. of past lives. It's actually what keeps me it's what gives me peace in a lot of ways. It has been a really fundamental part of how I've practiced and come to understand my spirituality and my spiritual self. So I'll tell a little bit of an origin story because I've had a lot of engagement with past life stuff. And not that I'm saying that, I have these dreams and I have all my I mean, maybe a lot of because I dream pretty vividly, and Barry knows this. I dream really vividly. So, I'm sure I'm somewhere. I don't know if I'm in the past, future, I don't know, but I see a lot of different things that I've never experienced in this current lifetime, so it's kind of interesting. But for me, I never ever gave this any thought at all until about I would say it was in 2008, 2009. I was really at the lowest point I think of my life at that point, like the lowest that I can recall in terms of feeling so disconnected, so removed from everything, from family, kids, spouse, work, like who I just felt so removed. And so I felt in a really low, low, low place. I think it was now in hindsight, I definitely was going through some depression. And it was really coming from a place of feeling lost, like just not knowing what was the point of everything happening to me and why wasn't I feeling like I could be myself. So it took me literally, this is gonna sound silly. I got all deep and now I'm gonna say something kind of silly. It took me literally kind of like Googling, like, I need some spiritual help or something. And one of the things that I found in this process was this notion of if you're I don't know how this popped up, but it was literally during a Google search. If you're dealing with something really painful and it keeps repeating itself, or the theme keeps repeating yourself, it could be that is something from a past life that you're attempting to still resolve or work through. And I was like, what? What's that mean? you know, what's the past life?
What's a
How does
past
that
life?
how's that function? And so I started researching more, going down the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole actually led me to a past life reader. So now at this point, I was a little freaked out because I'm like, okay, is this person gonna be Miss Cleo? Like, am I being completely bamboozled if I actually, but because I was feeling so low and so anxious and not knowing what to do and not feeling like my therapist was giving me, because I was in therapy at that point. I at that point already had my master's in counseling. So I mean, nothing was really feeding me. And I'm like, this problem keeps popping up. So I decided to reach out to this reader because I'm reading all her little references just to make sure that she was legit. And we had a discussion over the phone. And I was like, this is 2008, 2009. So there ain't no Zoom. This is literally a phone call. And she's like, don't worry, I can feel your energy through the phone. I can pick up on energies. She's like, I would like to know your birth date, though. That does kind of give me context. At that time, I didn't really understand what, and I do more now with astrology and so forth. But at any rate, she started telling about, she's like, there's you've had multiple past lives, but there's one that's standing out pretty strong energetically. And I think it may be what you're dealing with right now. And the things that she was able to discuss about this livelihood that I had in a past life and how that connects to the challenges in this current life. It was like somebody finally gave me the key to the door that I had so badly been trying to open because it finally made sense. It was the first time I heard somebody not just talk about a past life, but correlate it to this energy that I'm working through now and why the challenge continues, and some things that I should consider doing in an effort to work through it. Honestly, and that's what took me through. That's what began my spiritual, like getting more curious. Now, what are some other things then? Because if that was able to help me so quick, well, Lord, what else? Well, what about this? Or what about that? And literally, when I get in a situation, and it's a little bit different now because I've matured a lot in my spiritual development and understanding ancestral healing. And astrology has really, really helped me because it's very tied. into what is this soul in this lifetime attempting to work out. And so what astrology informs me about is these were the things that were maybe problematic in past lives, or that you mastered, you did really well, which is why this lifetime it feels so easy, because you've done this many times. And so now you're on this part of your life that you're attempting to work through. And for me, I'm not telling anybody watching this, so now you should believe this. No, I'm just saying for me, this is where, to me, spirit and higher source and God needed to meet me to help me begin to really understand this lifetime and these relationships that I have and these challenges and these desires and these gifts. For me, it's helped me feel more at peace. And the other part of it is when it's also helped in loss, whether that be just loss of a material thing, or even loss of relationship, or loss of a loved one. It's helped me understand this circle that you just said, that this circle is very intentional, and that the loss is not the way society a lot of times wants to push loss as traumatically horrible, but that loss a lot of times is necessary for more, for growth, for difference. And that if we continue to hold the same thing, we don't experience the next level of things. And for me, past lives is kind of another symbol of that. So that's kind of my granddaddy origin story.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And that was amazing. Thank you
Thank you.
for
Thank you for
sharing
listening
that.
to that whole thing, and everybody else who, is listening. There are some comments coming through. Do you mind if I kind of read them a
Oh,
little bit?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Garcia says amen to something that we said. And it was about 10 minutes ago that he said that. But recently Rakia said, yes, past life concept. I was just talking to my person Thursday about my reading, which I've been planning for a while. I first learned of past life regression / reading around 1997, 1998. Now, see, I was clueless at that point, Ricky. I didn't know. I was like, what? That's like
Mhm.
who? And the concept made so much sense. And then she said, I love that y'all are diving in on this. Well, thank you, Rakia. And thank you for sharing your experience with it, so that I think it's helpful when other people talk about their experiences, because that, I think, helps us um, maybe not think that we're in isolation, or that this is such a foreign concept, but that in fact, it can really, to me, past lives can give a lot of filling in the gaps. If you, and especially if you've done an actual reading, or regression work. And I've done both. I've done a reading and I've done regression. And so the difference, a reading is just like when the lady was just kind of telling me boom, boom, boom. Regression was actually putting me in the past life. It was almost like a hypnotic type of space where you're conscious. You're not like, oh, and you're just talking. It's not like that. You're very conscious, but it's almost like you're just telling the story of a visual that's happening. And that visual, they've gotten you into such a stillness part of self that you're really tapping basically into more higher spiritual subconscious self, which knows the stories. That's the thing. The soul knows all the stories, right? The soul is
Yeah,
holding
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
memory
yeah,
chip of all of it.
yeah.
And so the regression allows you to visualize it, speak it, talk about it, so that it's just brought a bit more into the conscious. And that was, I don't know if I ever told you this, Barry, but the day that I had my regression was the day I first talked to you. I don't know if I added
I
that.
think,
Did I
yeah,
tell you that?
yeah,
Okay.
you told me that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which was
you
then
told
the
me that.
most eerie ass day. It was just a really, it was a really
Right, you
eerie
shared that.
day. It was really, really eerie. So,
Yeah, you shared that. You shared that. I mean, so in our last spiritual shift sanctuary, I talked about just the political nature of religion,
mm,
and how you know most, if not all, religions have been in this context of social, political, geopolitical machinations of whoever is in power at the time. So
Mm.
when Christianity was forming, Rome was in this space um, as a power trying to extend their power further. So there was this, you know, supposedly this man running around and just teaching these concepts and everything, right? And Rome needed to figure out like what are we going to do about this? So as as I talked about in our last spiritual shift sanctuary session, um, they had to make a decision. What are we gonna, when Rome decided to take Christianity into the fold, into the Roman fold, they said, okay, we want like our goals. We have certain goals. Um, we have all these documents that we inherited from conquering. Greece conquered Kemet or Egypt, had all of this rich spiritual stuff from thousands of years. So Rome was like, okay, we conquered Greece and we got all this stuff. This is our stuff. So as they were looking to put together the Bible, it was a lot of material that they had to do this. Um, so if you think about like, I need people really plugged into religion and like what we're talking about. And if we include like reincarnation and past lives, that's kind of counterproductive to really what we're trying to do as a power. So because like you said, Kenya, you said when you had your past life regression,
Mm-hmm.
it gave you a sense of peace in like, oh, this makes so much sense. It's like now
Yes.
I understand why I'm here and where I've been, where I'm coming from. It's like an origin story. It's like,
Yes.
oh, this is what it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
So there was a decision made, like, no, we can't put this stuff in our book. Oh, we need them coming to us as the authority.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Okay, can we put a
It's
pin?
from
Because I want people to really pick up. I talk to you all the time, so I know we talk about this stuff all the time, so I know the flow. But I want to make sure that people are picking up on this and this this human experience often of wanting power and wanting to be able to control and wanting to be able to benefit. Ego is immortal. It's going to end, right? So in this time, in terms of this human existence, so in the human existence there is a tendency for the ego, and when I say ego I mean human, to to be in this kind of mode and control and what have you. And then if you just have groups of thinking in that way, what can we do to control and to basically benefit ourselves, and to win what we think would be best way to win? Well, we can't, if everybody knows, if everybody really understands their own power, then why would they adjust to ours? So this whole idea of how can we, it's kind of like if you can just think about your kids for a moment. Those of you who have kids, I know not everybody has kids, but or just little people, or you're around little people. We attempt to set up all of these rules, and there's information we don't necessarily share because we don't want them to question certain things. We want them just to kind of do what we need them to do. And sometimes it's for good, right? For safety, but sometimes it's because, what, I'm tired. You don't need to know all that. Just do it. Just do it because I'm your mother and I need you to just do it. And that's a certain level of control that we can kind of manipulate. I mean, Santa Claus, all these things we use, Santa Claus is used as a way for good behavior, like do this or Santa Claus won't come. Okay, I believe in Santa Claus, so I better be good, right? So if we can start thinking about how easy it is for us just to control the thinking of things, if we just set up certain things and we feed it, We watched Donald Trump do it for 4 years. And watching him still do it, just set it up a certain kind of way. And then we'll just kind of follow, because then you'll disconnect from what you really feel or need or think. And this, I know it feels mythy or conspiracy-y to think that, but it really isn't. We do it all the time. We do it every day, where we will say certain things in an effort to control, because if you utilize your own control and own understanding, you may not obey me. You may not confide in me. You may not use me the same way. So I just wanted to kind of really bring that in there, because I think sometimes people, when we start talking about God or religion or spirit or whatever, we've been so conditioned in a certain kind of way that we'll disconnect from these very everyday examples of doing the things that can be very problematic in religion or in certain faith practices. And it's not so foreign. It's not so removed to think that for whatever reason, that's a space that gets to be protected and without a certain whatever is ridiculous. We're all still living in this space. So I'm real passionate about that, because I don't think that people have to believe what I believe, but I think you have to believe what you believe.
Right.
And not what you've been conditioned to believe, but what you actually understand and are curious about.
Yeah. I mean, that's an important point that you made, Kenya, like super important. And I would even piggyback on that and just say, like, if you're a Christian, and you go to church, just think how much politics goes on just in your church. Just the politics of this or that or whatever it is. I guarantee you there's politics going on in your church. Huge
Yes.
politics.
Yes.
Tremendous politics. So if you extrapolate that over, like you have a huge, powerful entity, organization like Rome back 2,000 years ago, and factions are. And see, the thing is that back then, let me just drop this piece in here, just as a historical thing, right? So back then, the religion and the laws and the society, they were like this.
Yeah.
There's a reason why supposedly there's a separation of church and state. There's a reason for that. In say Western society, there really is no separation. But I'm gonna let y'all have I'm gonna let you keep believing that. But supposedly there's a separation of church and state legally. Back thousands of years ago, there was no separation. So if you had some guy coming talking about some new stuff, or getting a movement going, a religious spiritual movement going, it needed to be what we're like. If you're the powers that be, it needed to be what we're talking about, what we're on already, because if the people went another way religiously, you don't have a kingdom, you don't have a nation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
Right.
you had, what I'm saying is that the people, you had to have the people on board with the religion, whatever
Right.
it was in the
Right.
country, the nation, whatever it was, the people had to be on board with that. And then that was the law. That was how the nation, country ran.
Right.
Okay. So if
Right.
you had something that was coming up that was kind of threatening that, you had to be like, wait a minute, hold up, we got to get in here and see what's going on. What's up? What y'all doing over there? So,
Right.
to Kenya's point, it's very, very, very real. It was very, very real back then. How, say, like past lives and reincarnation, was, and the thing is that this was back then. This was a known thing. There was no discussion or argument, or it was an understanding, because prior to Christianity and the version of Christianity that was pushed forward through time. Prior to that, past lives, this was, of course, this is
Right.
what this is all about. Because coming from the ancient world, present, um, this was the understanding that we come and we go, and we come and we go. Okay, and then there's a lot of things that happen. This is why it ends up in some scriptures in the Bible. And let me just drop this too. Um, this is just one, when Jesus is talking to the disciples, and he asked the disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" And they
Mm,
say this, and they say
mm.
this, and they say this, and they say that. And one of the disciples says, "Oh, they think that you're, I don't want to get this wrong, but it's a prophet from the Old Testament." They said, "Oh, people are thinking that you're the prophet from such and such and such." And I apologize, I can't think of the prophet. Elijah,
Mm,
maybe. I think it was Elijah, maybe, if I'm not
mhm.
mistaken. They think that you are Elijah, reborn. You know, so why would they even say that
Right.
if they didn't have
Right.
an understanding of this past lives? We come and we go. We come and we go.
Right.
You
Right.
see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we have another comment I want to read as we get our comments
So
in.
can we do this real quick? I need to go take
Sure.
care of something real quick. Keep talking. I'll be
Okay.
right
Well, no, I'll take you off the screen. There we go. He will be back. So I want to read this comment. Thank you so much, Rakia. And thank you for everyone who has put your likes and are watching again, either in live time or in playback. But Rakia said, that's an excellent distinction to make, the difference between what we actually believe versus what we've been taught or told. We don't often interrogate what we quote unquote believe, and we aren't always willing to acknowledge that we haven't explored our beliefs to know if we even believe them or if they even make sense for us and how we want to experience ourselves, our lives, our relationships, our faith, our God slash creator. This is such a good and juicy convo. Ah, thank you, Rakia. Girl, you know I'm like high fiving you on all of that completely. And to me, this is the thing. This is the to me. This is the conditioned self versus the true self. And it's a journey. That conditioning is actually not the conditioning is almost necessary to help put us on the journey. And I think Barry's back, so I'm gonna put you back in. Oh, he's putting his headphones back in, so I'll let him get situated. I was just reading it, and one of the comments Rakia made. I'll just highlight one of the things that she said, and I actually maybe I'll be able to show it. Let me see. It's kind of lengthy, so I'm not sure. Here we go. I'm going to read this, or let you be able to read this, Barry. Making that excellent distinction between what we actually believe versus what we've been taught or told. We don't often interrogate what we believe, and we aren't always willing to acknowledge that we haven't explored our beliefs to know if we believe them or if they even make sense for us and how we want to experience ourselves, our lives, our relationships, our faith, our God slash creator. This is such a good and juicy convo. So
Thank
I wanted
you.
to,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rakaya.
Um, and I just think what Rakia is saying there, I was kind of
Or
going into
Rakia.
this, yeah, how critical this is right now, given so much happening in the world, and that if you are still relying on the conditioned self, you're going to feel a lot of frustration and a lot of chaos, and which then leads to anxiety, which then leads to stress, and then impacts our mental and our physical health, and that circle is indeed going to happen when we don't take the time to better understand our own, not just ourselves and in the reality of our lives, but our values and belief systems, and where do they come from. And the thing I'll say this, and I want it because I think sometimes people believe that if they challenge that, there's there's something bad that will happen. And I think, yes, there's going to be some discomfort for sure, particularly depending on how far you are within a conditioned kind of reality. But if you can always just understand, that truth, it always wins. Like, I don't know of truth never lose, or I don't know of truth ever losing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know of people who said, God, when I got to my true me, my life was horrible. Like, I've never heard anybody say, when I really started evaluating my values and I shifted and I started really deciding for myself, this is what I need. My life went to, it went down the drain. I've never heard that. Never. I can say that word never for that. But what I hear consistently is, well, I don't really know what's going on here, but things aren't really kind of changing in my life. Or no, I've never really gotten into that because it's just too much. And then I watch, the same patterns just kind of keep coming up. That I see consistently. But I've never seen someone who've really gone for the truth of themselves be led to a space of confusion. I just don't. It might be lost. It can be disappointing. It can be sad. It can be hard. It can be, frustrating, but never failure,
Right. Well, I mean, the saying is that the truth shall what? Make you miserable?
Set you free.
The truth shall incarcerate you? No, the truth will set you free. Now free is, free gonna cost you some things now. Don't think that free is it's not gonna cost you some things. We saw an amazing movie last night, and an amazing movie. It's an amazing
We saw
movie.
Woman King. Woman King.
Yeah. It was outstanding.
Outstanding.
And they had to fight a couple enemies to get free.
And a lot of loss. Experienced a ton of loss.
Ton of loss. Yeah. I mean, so they had to fight for their freedom against a couple foes. Some skin folk and then some other folk. They had to fight to get their freedom during this time of when the slave trade was going on. But yeah, I mean, the truth will set you free.
I was going to say, along with that movie, which, yes, it was excellent, and I think it is a must see for everybody. This isn't a Black movie. This is I'm so tired of movies that have predominantly Black characters be told as a Black movie. I mean, it's got mostly Black people. It's an African story per se, but it's very much an American story. It's very, anyway, but it's excellent. It's a world story. It's a world story. Absolutely. It's a world story. And it really, and it's a humanity story. And it's also a spiritual story. And it's also, I think for women, there's so many layers to it. There's so many layers in understanding our strength versus our fragility, and how those two work. They need each other in order to actually strive. The fragility is necessary for the strength, and the strength is physical, and the fragility is physical. And I mean, just lots of layers. So just go see it. And Viola's gonna just act her tail off. So, just go see it. Lots of other, beautiful women and men in this movie that is really powerful. But, on to the kind of wrap up our past life thing. Again, where this all ties in, search it. I just, again, ask people to be willing to be curious and make your decision after the curiosity, as opposed to making this decision based on maybe what I'm telling you. Don't go start believing it just because what I'm telling you. Don't do that. And don't go not believing it just because somebody else told you not to. Get curious for yourself. And this is not just with past lives. This, to me, is with spirituality and belief systems and anything else, period. Is, yes, my words are some words. My experiences are some experiences. They may or may not influence you. But the idea of this is to get you to get curious about yourself so that you can land wherever you need to land, and you can start designing a life for yourself that not only is hopefully really valuable, but coming from a root of yeah, I'm really believing in this. I'm so connected to it, because that's how you have sustainability. That's how you have longevity in anything, is when there's a central value. So
Yeah.
last words, Barry, before we will kind of say some upcoming things in just a moment. But any last words with this past lives? Have you felt a feeling of past lives activated in your life? Have you ever had a regression or a reading, or just felt something that has suggested to you
Hmm.
that?
I've never had a past life regression, but in my readings, and I've had, that's a part of my lifestyle. I mean, so in my readings, when I do my thing, when I do my navigation, you know, yes, it is. It's very clear that I've been here many, 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 many times. I think they're called old souls. You know, I don't look them as old soul, but a soul that is very, very experienced with the human experience and what that is. Yes, it's and then what? So what tends to happen, just like what you said. I've always been a particular type of person, even from like a child. I've always um, moved a certain way. I've always thought a certain way. I've always had certain experiences. I've always seen myself as like I'm not really from here. Just seeing like where am I? Like how did I get here? Did I agree to come to this place? Like what the hell is going on here? Can I just get back to what I was doing? How did I get back here? So I've
Ah,
always kind of had that kind of thing going on. So when I would begin to have readings and got the understanding of past lives and the fact that yes, you've been here many, 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 many times before. It's like, oh, this is why I feel like this. Oh my God, this is this is why I feel like this. This is it.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's like, oh my God, I'm here again. Like, what did I? Oh my God. Okay, we got to do this. All right. It's it's
yeah.
it's eye opening. It's like you said. You tend to understand things in a whole different perspective. Now, it doesn't make it easier
No,
at the same
yeah,
time. It doesn't make it easier at the same time. You
no,
still you
no.
still have to because you came back for your lessons. You came back for your
Okay,
challenges.
ding dong, ding dong. Yep, yes. You came
Yeah,
back for your lessons.
you
So
came
that
back
means
for
this,
your
and
lessons.
lessons, y'all know you got to study, you got to
Came back
practice, you
for your
got to
lessons.
review, you got to kind of go through some assessments and tests, and then you got to see, is it right? No, it was wrong, and now I got to go correct it. That's what lessons are. And that's
You
what
came back
that's
for your
actually what
lessons.
your soul even came here for.
That's what your soul came here for. And that's really the crux. It's one of the aspects of past lives. Like this is why there are past lives. This is why you've been here before. This is why you've been here before, and this is why you're here now, so that you can really and learn your lessons, um, overcome your challenges, as well as engage with the people that you agree to do this with.
Mm, mm.
And if you've ever like Chinny and I talk about this a lot, and how when we met, it was just like, bling. You feel such a comfort and ease with the person. Like you move, like he's like, I've known you before. Yes, you
Right.
have known that before. You know, and that's another. And now you have to be clued in. You have to be tapped in. You have to be moving around, kind of like with some intuition about
Right.
yourself, so that
Right.
you can pick up on this and so that you can realize that yes, you've known this person before. That's why you all click so easy. Like oh, um,
Right.
and it doesn't mean that you like if someone that you don't click with that you haven't known them either, because you probably you
Right.
you very well could have known them in another life and you didn't click with them then.
Right. Right.
You see
It's
this?
so fascinating. I mean, because I think
Very
it's
fascinating.
important to, and we'll have to do that as another topic, soul contracts. We talked about soulmate, but I'd love for us to talk about soul contracts and these kind of, what you said as far as when we met each other and, there's a click and of course there's a chemistry and, all of those feelings. But there was another thing happening and I think you kind of said, well, I don't know if you said this or not just now, but a calm and a ease. Like for me, that's when it's really like, wow, okay, because I don't know you really. Like I just met you, like, we talked on the phone, but like, but but for whatever reason, I'm really calm right now. I feel really at ease. I feel really comfortable. I feel like I don't know you and I still know you. So it's, and I think that that's kind of the beauty of the different that what the soul gets to do. You get to learn these lessons in community,
Right.
because these lessons are hard. They are hard. And that doesn't equal that community is always going to be kumbaya. Community has its things. You and I, as we relate and learn and, trying to figure out, because while, yes, we are connected, you did have a whole life before me. And I had a whole life before you that has been some conditioning, that has been some revelation, all kinds of things. So I just want people to understand that having these understandings doesn't now equal, and now that is it. No, it equals another level. It equals another level. I do think that it has absolutely the foundation to give you more peace and to give you more a center of joy and a center of trust and faith, so that you're willing to do these lessons with compassion and you're willing to do these lessons with more patience and more understanding, as opposed to when you don't have that context. These lessons can hit so hard, and to me, I use the language of frequencies. We'll drop into our low, more primal human frequency and try to fight it from our human space, when in fact, if we can tap more into our spiritual space, when we fight those lessons, we're fighting it from a more enlightened space, one that has more patience, one that can see things a bit more broader and allow flux to do what it needs to do. So I'm just really passionate about this. I'm so glad we decided to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some juicy ones coming up in the future too.
We
That
do.
we're
We
discussing in
do.
the
So
future.
all right. So yes. So we get ready to wrap up. We have one more comment from Rakia. I'm gonna show it on the screen so everybody can see it. A chuckle more than a comment. Lessons. Child lessons. Oh, the lessons. Yes. Yes, the lessons. The lessons ain't no joke. And that's why I said you can't, I don't care what you practice. The lessons are gonna be there. You
It
can
don't even
practice.
really matter. It
It
don't
don't
even really
matter.
matter.
It don't
You know,
matter. It don't matter.
either you're getting the
So
lessons or you're not getting the lessons. You could be sanctified, saved, sanctified, full of the Holy Ghost, running through the church on fire,
ah,
and you could be missing. You could be totally missing your lessons. You could be totally missing your
totally missing your lesson. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so
lessons. So
all
you
right. Well,
gotta.
we're gonna oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. I wasn't gonna say anything. I wasn't gonna say. No, I wasn't gonna say.
No, we're gonna get ready to wrap up. I before we kind of disconnect, so don't jump off quite yet. We, Barry and I both do a multitude of things. I think I'm trying to slow down a little bit. That's not really true. Barry is really ramping up. So Barry has a very amazing opportunity for youth coming up. So in like a minute or two, can you share what that opportunity is? And I'll try to put on our ticker how people, or on our screen, how people can get in touch with this opportunity?
Oh, I can do it real quick. Project Sparkle, youth entrepreneurship, youth leadership, teaching kids how to make jewelry online. It's a virtual class that we're starting the end of October. That's it. You know, bshawnriley.com. You can go in there and click on Project Sparkle to learn more about how to get young people involved in this class. 4-week virtual class, digital. It's jewelry making, how to make jewelry, but also how to sell that jewelry. We're going to be talking about digital marketing and design and leadership, entrepreneurship, all that good stuff for young people. So if you know anybody that's crafty, that's creative, that really loves to, make stuff, go to bshawnriley.com and click Project Spark.
Yeah, click that and attend the info session so that he can provide even more details. And also, I think you're going to be coming up pretty soon doing kind of a live teaser to kind of show on, and it'll be hosted on my, my different pages, kind of in this same format. We don't have a date on it yet, but just to give those of you who have or are connected to youth between the ages of 8 to 18, who have some creative people, or those who you think if they would get a little bit more into their creativity, and do crafting like jewelry making, that may tap them into something more about themselves. You're going to do a little bit of a demo with the actual instructor who is the jewelry maker, and she's also a certified social emotional instructor. Her name is Margot. So yeah, tap into that. And I have so many things. Y'all know I always got a lot of stuff. If you just go on my page and browse around, I would say the two biggest things that I'm really wanting people to engage in, well, maybe three things that I'm hoping people will pause and engage and take some time with. One is my new podcast. And the new podcast is called Finding Your Voice After 40. Hence, that's why y'all see that hashtag there. So you just remember Finding Your Voice After 40. Don't be surprised. Those of y'all that I know, i.e. Rakia, don't be surprised you be getting an email in a moment like, would you like to be a guest on? But what I do is I interview amazing people who are over the age of 40, who are doing really reinventing themselves at this stage. And Barry was this past week's interview and episode number 2. So that's on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, pretty much all the podcast outlets, anchorfm.com. So Finding Your Voice After 40. So please check that out. If you're a subscriber to any of my email lists, you've probably already gotten notification about that. So I appreciate all the listens. We're already up to almost 100 listens, which is awesome because literally I've only had it for 2 weeks. So that's really good. So keep listening. And then also, and I am going to put this in the feed. I think if I can find it, the belly of what I'm doing to really help people get in this space of particular women of really figuring out and exploring themselves is by way of, here we go. I think this is it, by way of retreating. And so I do free info sessions. And so if you go to findingyourvoiceafter40.com, you can sign up and those free sessions, I usually offer them Tuesday and Thursday nights, and you can just sign up with one that kind of fits your schedule. And it's just me and you sitting down so I can tell you more and give you more information, tell you what it's not, what it is. So definitely findingyourvoiceafter40.com. And there's also some other goodies, of course, on that website. And you may see about the open house, but that's past. I got to take that off. I got to take that off the website. But yeah, so check out both our websites again, but again, this spiritual shift that we do have a whole spiritual shift sanctuary. And Barry mentioned about that, how we basically spend more time unpacking a little bit more behind the scenes of scripture. And we do kind of take it from a Christian base, but that doesn't mean you need to be practicing Christianity by any means. It's just to kind of unpack things from a context that's familiar And if that's something that you want to learn more about, all you have to do is go to, and it's now scrolling across, patreon.com/finding your voice. So we're building this community. So at this point, you'll see 3 different tiers. If you join at any tier right now, you will get access to going to Spiritual Shift Sanctuary, as well as bonus content on the podcast, and access to some of the upcoming astrology workshops that we have. So make sure you check that out. So lots of ways to get connected, lots of ways. My goal right now is to help people connect to themselves a bit more. And if I can support that. And it's funny, I know a lot of people know me as artist, but please understand, I was doing this stuff before artistry. This was really what I was doing all along. I've always been in mental health, emotional health, and physical health. I've always been an educator. I've been faculty. I've been working in university settings since 1998. That's really what my backbone has been. And so it's just been a pleasure to also be able to feed my artist self. So anything before we tap off, Barry? Any last minute announcements, things you want to say?
The truth will set you free. That's it.
The truth will set you free.
The truth will set you free.
The truth will set you free. So whether you believe in past lives or not, that don't really about your truth. So, all right, you guys go enjoy your Sunday. It's the last Sunday of the summer. We're getting ready to go into the fall season this week. So go enjoy you some sunshine if you're in cold states like Barry and I.
Exactly. We're gonna enjoy the sun while you can.
Enjoy the sun, because Chicago is like a clock. Oh, it's fall. It changes.
Oh, right.
Immediately. So,
right.
All right. Well, Barry, you stay right there, but I'm going to end the broadcast. So you guys have a blessed, amazing day. Talk to you guys soon.
Peace.
Bye.